What's up, family? What's going on? What's cracking? What's happening? Thanks for coming and joining your boy Bam Bell and Betty on one of Watt's three sons. Always going to continue to represent the East Side ours because the East Side is ours, keeping them 10 toes down on those 10-fold grounds. Yo, drum major for justice because there is no justice for just us. But my master gonna see to that. Don't worry about that. Giving all praises to the Most High God, man, for the breath in my lungs, the words in my mouth. Praising him and for his grace, his mercy, and his guidance. Giving shouts out to all four corners of my hometown, that is Watts. All my loved ones, man, have been doing that work, putting in that work, trying to help out our community for the last 30 plus years, yo. Something like that. But hey, man, I don't want to hold us too long, man. I want to get off into this information. We're going to go over some videos, man, because, hey, man, I want to talk about what's up, what's happening, and what's going on. And the truth is, everybody talking about the Mr. Kirk, right? So we're going to continue to cover that in our way. Everybody wants empathy for a man who had no empathy. People are in need of sympathy that don't got no sympathy. People are looking for justice when they refuse to give justice to just us. On reckon, right? That being said, you know, black folks, man, we are the top recipients of having our leaders murdered, unalived. Especially here in this United Snakes of amnesia, where everybody seems to be able to comfortably be able to forget everything our people done been through, man. That being said, we gonna get off into these videos, man, because yeah, let's talk about leaders, man. Let's talk about losing leaders, because yeah, we know a little bit of something about that as black people, and you know, truth is, it just wasn't a whole lot of empathy for our people when it went down that way. And this is something that's, you know, pretty understood, you know. But that being said, you know, we ain't gonna keep holding it around too long. We're gonna get off into this video and show how the people that's supposed to have equal protection under the law, according to their federal government, were actually targeted by their federal government, and laws were broken to destroy them. Yeah, these are the same people that y'all saying that need to have empathy and sympathies, right? I just want you guys to ask yourself one question as we go through these videos and we listen to these brothers and people in these documentaries discuss, you know, the topics. Just keep asking yourself the question: why do we have to? Us. Why do we have to show all this? It's amazing, man. We the only people in America that get treated like we have to have the exact same opinion as the descendants of the people who enslaved us. The people who walk around in a position of privilege because their ancestors enslaved us. We walk around in a position of destitute and hopelessness, restrictions. You know, people can play all the games they want. I know you got a whole lot of graham cracker folks out there that see things differently, but yeah, man, we gonna just call it a duck right down the middle. We ain't gonna play no games with it. You understand what I'm saying? Just the idea. Boom. Let's get over here. Boom.
20,000.
Shake it back, all the way back. Boom. Let's listen, ladies and gentlemen.
It was the cold, dark morning of December 4th, 1969. All was quiet in the Chicago of a young Fred Hampton, the deputy chairman of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. This would all change, however, in the middle of the night, when, at 4:30 a.m., police bust down the door, charging into the Hampton residence and firing over 90 shots indiscriminately through the walls and hallways. Dozens of innocent party members had been sleeping in the apartment, including Aquan Jerry, Fred's pregnant fiance. Fred, a mere 21 years old at the time, laid limp in bed, having been drugged the night before. But the police weren't taking any chances. A Chicago cop came in and fired 2 more rounds straight through the head of Fred, then proudly stated,
Proudly. Look at the faces, man. Look at the faces. But we need to be showing empathy. Why do we have to?
"He's as good as dead now." There was no court case or trial against the inhumane actions of the officers. Only the cold taste of so-called American justice. To white America, Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party represented a threat to stability and comfort. A radical new ideology threatening white power and authority. These scenes of violence and police brutality weren't all that surprising to the Black community, but what made this event so much more unsettling was the insidious organization behind it all. Plotting the murder of innocent young Black men who fought to free the Black community from the chains of oppression. Just how deep does the rabbit
Plotting the unaliving, man. This was on federal, state, and local level.
hole go? The Black Panthers' rise to power was not one of pure coincidence. A quick look at the socio-political climate in 1960s America revealed that the chains of injustice and oppression that had shackled the Black community for decades were still very present. Despite the dismantlement of many Jim Crow-era policies in America, Black people were still treated by many as lesser citizens. In the North, much of the Black population was concentrated in poor neighborhoods with high unemployment, with racist districting preventing the spread of Black people into more affluent neighborhoods. What's more, many law enforcement divisions were almost entirely white, with less than 3% of Oakland police officers being Black. This drastic racial imbalance led to an environment where many Black folks were subject to racial discrimination and prejudice from predominantly white law enforcement. In the 2 years leading up to the Black Panther Party's formation, 2 of the civil rights movement's most outspoken individuals, Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, had been brutally murdered in public.
Both. I understand. Where was the empathy here, yeah? Did Mr. Kirk have any empathy? He didn't have no empathy for Martin Luther King. Had a whole lot of negative to say about him, you feel me? And I can imagine how he felt about Brother Malcolm. You understand? Malcolm, they killed him in front of his family. Malcolm was gunned down in front of his family, bro. The Nation of Islam did that. No, that Nation of Islam wasn't bugging his hotel rooms and following him all the way to Egypt and all of that. That wasn't him doing it. Yeah. Honestly, like I said, keep asking yourself, why do we have to have empathy and sympathy and mourn people that straight up hate us? That's supposed to be, there ain't nothing biblical about it. We gonna get off into it.
And while the 2 men did not always see eye to eye on all subjects, one thing was clear. They both championed the idea that the Black community had a duty to rise against their oppressor and seek justice for the centuries of wrongdoing committed by the white elite. But now, those voices had been silenced, and a new symbol of Black resilience needed to rise from their ashes. And so, in October of 1966, 2 college students from Oakland, California, Bobby Seale and Huey Newton, etched their names in history and created the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, or Black Panther Party for short.
Black Panther Party for self-defense, so that we can have self-identity and we can know.
But there was a problem. The Black Panther Party wasn't yet the well-known national organization it eventually became. They had quite a few challenges, and one of their largest was fundraising. In order to create a Black community capable of fighting back against a corrupt police force, something greater than nonviolent protests was needed. Something with a bit more force. Something with a bang. Newton and Seale, who had witnessed the public outcry and unrest that had occurred after the Watts riots, a series of riots motivated by the racist and abusive policies of the LAPD, realized that if given weapons to defend themselves, Black people could begin to fight back against racist law enforcement and even the Ku Klux Klan. Seal and Newton, in an effort to raise money for more firearms, soon began to buy large quantities of Mao Zedong's Little Red Book and sell them to leftists across California campuses for triple the price. This way, Seal and Newton both spread their Marxist beliefs while fundraising for weapons. In the words of Seal, "We sell the books, make the money, buy the guns, and go on the streets with the guns. We'll protect the mother, protect a brother, and protect the community from the racist cops." The idea behind arming the black populace was quite simple: arm black communities who could patrol black neighborhoods that were subject to police brutality and police the police in an act known as cop watching. However, many in the white community viewed this as an aggressive move by the Panthers and attempted to paint them as a violent criminal organization. California Governor Ronald Reagan even signed a law banning the open carry of loaded firearms in a direct
The Milford Act, supported by the National Rifle Association. Look it up. The National Rifle Association actually supported a bill to unarm Americans. Why are we supposed to be having empathies and sympathies and stuff again? What, huh?
attempt to limit the power and influence of the Black Panther Party. In response, the party brought 26 armed Panthers into the Sacramento courthouse to protest the bill and make a public statement. Black people have begged, prayed, petitioned, demonstrated, and everything else to get the racist power structure of America.
This was a deliberate act to disarm black people. It had nothing to do with anything else. It was about taking it wasn't about nobody else. Imagine, think about it. There were no real gun laws in the United States till after the emancipation, after our transfer of ownership. Because we wasn't freed. We wasn't liberated. We wasn't given sovereignty. You understand? Our ownership was transferred from individual ownership to federal ownership. That's all. As soon as that happened, they immediately started coming with gun laws. Not to mention laws against vagrancy and laws against nowhere to go, laws against, not having a job and not having a place and all those other laws that they came with. But yeah, man, the National Rifle Association supported the Milford Act because it was disarming Negroes.
To right the wrongs which have historically been perpetuated against black people. The time has come for black people to arm themselves against this terror before it is too late. In response, California law enforcement arrested Seal and 5 others, but the Panthers had already got their message out. By the time of their indictment, news had spread far and wide of the party and their mission, and soon party leaders such as Bobby Seale, Eldridge Cleaver, and Huey Newton were being invited to speak everywhere on the newfound ideas of the Black Panther Party. Much of the idealistic backdrop behind the party's principles was revolutionary at its core, aiming to challenge decades of oppression and deliver rightful compensation for the suffering of millions of African Americans during slavery. Seale and Newton expressed this in their 10-point program, a set of guidelines written to provide party followers with an understanding of the mission behind the Black Panther Party. Some of the more prominent points included an immediate end to police brutality and the murder of black people and all other people of color. Completely free health care for all black and oppressed people. Full employment and housing for black communities. Teaching education that exposes the true nature of decadent white America. These principles would help inspire the creation of the Black Panther Party's famous free meal and education programs.
See that picture? All them little kids up there holding them fists up. Black is beautiful, free Huey. These are the same little kids that would eventually become your Crips and your Crips. When this leadership and this movement was destroyed and ripped away from them, these are the babies that became your community revolution in progress, trying to keep alive the same ideals that they were being taught as children sitting at those breakfast tables. We supposed to be we supposed to feel sorry about something?
Which saw great success in inner city communities across the country. Started in January 1969, the Free Breakfast for Children program fed over 20,000 children in 1969 alone. And the rampant success of these programs led to over 36 free breakfast programs being run nationwide. During these free breakfasts, party members and volunteers would help educate the children on anti-capitalism, Black pride, and the need for self-sufficiency within Black communities.
They didn't want the babies being taught that. Let's keep listening.
Many of the kids positively affected by the free breakfast program were those who were unable to be helped by the existing federal lunch program. The program, mostly run by volunteers, helped provide food security in impoverished communities, while helping shape the Panthers' image to one of combating racial injustice and ghetto marginalization. But while the party was spreading messages of love, freedom, and food security to the masses, there were a select few who had been hiding in the shadows, plotting the downfall of the Black Panther Party. In fact, there was one man that absolutely hated the Panthers and all that they stood for. So much so that he created an entire operation designed to systematically dismantle the Panthers and destroy their hopes of creating a united Black community.
And he did that with federal funding, federal money. They used our fathers and our grandfathers' tax dollars and used that to destroy us, man.
But before we continue, if you like the content you've seen and would like to see more, please leave a like and leave a comment down below, sharing your thoughts. Each one of our voices helps spread awareness of the injustices against the Black community that persist to this day.
To this day, like your boy Deontay Wilder said, to this day.
As Panther popularity began to rise, so too did its opposition. Government agencies such as the FBI had deemed the Marxist philosophies behind the Panthers to be too much of a threat to American stability and devised an ultimate strategy to destroy the Panthers from the inside. Named COINTELPRO-Black Hate, this operation sought to neutralize Black nationalist hate groups through a series of subversive and downright sinister measures like assassination and imprisonment. Wow. These are the actions of the government who is supposed to protect us? The FBI had sought to deepen divides between Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam, which ultimately led to his death, and had blackmailed MLK. Any group which sought to promote Black suffrage or protest were targeted, and Dr. King specifically was sent a threatening piece of blackmail from the FBI to try and get him to end his own life. In the letter, the author calls Dr. King a evil, abnormal beast, telling him to off himself before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation.
Your boy Charlie Kirk, this is why he said Martin Luther King is a horrible person. He was a horrible person. Study telling Black folks don't fight back no matter how you get mistreated. He was a horrible person. And he's usually the go-to for white America. I didn't get that.
These sort of malicious and racist acts didn't just stop with Dr. King, though. Elmer Pratt, a Black Panther Party leader, was falsely accused of murder and was imprisoned for 27 years before an FBI agent testified believing
More like 28.
Pratt had been framed. 27 years. Can you imagine having your whole
FBI agent testified that he had been set up? I think he spent like 8 years in solitary, something like that. They tried to destroy his mind in there. When he got released, Eric Garcetti's daddy, tried to refile charges against him. I believe my brother moved to either Angola or Liberia, and that's where he suffered his aneurysm. Just like Johnny Cochran, his lawyer that fought that was his original lawyer that defended him in his original trial that fought to get him out, also had an aneurysm, just like brother Dr. Khalid Muhammad also had an aneurysm. All three of them had aneurysms within, I believe, a 5 or 6 year span, all three of them. Coincidence? Hey, man, Like they said, our leaders, man, these are our leaders, right? How we supposed to be empathetic? This is what they did. When they did the shooting on Central Avenue, they was trying to kill him. Excuse me, they was trying to unalive him. Some real stuff. Let's get back.
Whole life stolen away simply because the government had lied? This is one of many examples that display the blatant abuse of power and lengths the FBI went through to subdue and sabotage Black people. J. Edgar Hoover, director of the Federal Bureau.
This goddamn devil. I don't care what nobody say. Devil. Devil. It means deceiver. It means liar. Ain't that what he do? He lied. He deceive, right? This dude's a devil, dude. And he took, like I said, this was America's man right here. He was top cop.
Bureau of Investigation at the time made it his personal priority to dismantle everything the Black Panther Party stood for, stating, "The Black Panther Party, without question, represents the greatest threat to the internal security of the country." Behind the scenes of COINTELPRO, Hoover took an active role in framing and slandering various Black Panther organizations. In particular, he desperately wanted to ruin the free breakfast program the Panthers had been running, claiming that the Black Panther Party's free breakfast program is the greatest threat to efforts by authorities to neutralize the BPP and destroy what it stands for.
See that? We supposed to neutralize the BPP and destroy what it stands for. Damn devil the Bible speak of, yo.
Soon, government authorities began spreading rumors that the Panthers were handing out poisoned food, and FBI agents began to raid breakfast program locations while children were eating. When a San Diego FBI agent who was sent to report on the Black Panther Party's dangerous activities reported that they were just helping out impoverished communities, Hoover retorted by implying the agent would be fired if he did not falsify evidence to support the FBI's narrative.
The agent will be fired if he didn't lie. This is the federal government of the United Snakes of Amnesia, man. They somehow forgot they did all this to us, yo. But we supposed to be having empathy right now and mourning and feeling sorry for a man who was an open racist. Said all kinds of lies and untruths about us. You understand? Like I said, keep asking yourself, what do we have to? Really? Really?
As you can see, Hoover and the FBI had a complete disregard for American democracy, and especially when it came to those of color. His immense fear of the Black population was driven not out of legitimate concern of terrorist organizations, but out of a relentless hatred towards minority groups who represented a threat to white America's segregationist society. Hoover's goal with COINTELPRO was to completely dismantle the Black Power movement in order to prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify the Black nationalist movement. As it turns out, there was one man in particular who was making quite the stir in the Black community, using his charisma and charm to rally all those oppressed by the government to fervor. His name? Fred Hampton.
Now, yeah, we finna get off into Fred, right? But we've already showed you Malcolm, Martin. Let's not forget Medgar. Medgar and Malcolm were both murdered in front of their children. Were both unalived in front of their children. You understand? My assassin's bullet, and didn't know that, nah, man, conspiracy, government cover-ups. Federal government paying for the property of Beckwith so he could pay for his defense. The federal government gave him the money to fight to keep him from going to prison for killing Medgar Evers. Man, look into it. Check it out. Research. Don't get mad. Get smart. Prove me wrong. Like old Kirk used to say, prove me wrong. Look into that, you'll see it's true. But look at this, man. These are people being unalived, yo. And then the other ones were being locked up in prison. Geronimo was 27 years. He actually did 28 years. You understand? Then, come on, man. We possibly, do we have to? Honestly? We have to feel sorry for something more? So, y'all serious?
From a young age, Fred Hampton had already begun work to revolutionize the working and living conditions for the Black community. In high school, Fred led walkouts protesting Black students' exclusion from the competition for homecoming queen and calling on education officials to hire more Black teachers and administrators. In 1966, Shortly after Fred turned 18, Fred became an active participant in the NAACP's Youth Council, helping organize protests and leading over 500 youth members in an attempt to improve the educational resources for Chicago's impoverished Black community. From a young age, Fred had sought to overthrow the racial conditioning and stigma that had long perpetrated Black culture in the North. Many Black individuals at the time sought to distance themselves from their Black heritage in an attempt to whitewash themselves and assimilate into white society. But Fred was having none of it, stating, "We've got to face the fact that some people say you fight fire best with fire, but we say you put fire out best with water. We say you don't fight racism with racism. We're going to fight racism with solidarity. We say you..."
This kid was 21 years old, man. 21 years old. He was a baby. Charlie Kirk was only 31. 21, man. Shot up in his bed next to his pregnant wife, man. They shoot up his gravesite annually. They shoot his tombstone up annually. They deleted him way back in 1969. And they still shoot his tombstone up annually. This much is the hatred that people got for us, man. But we supposed to be sympathetic. We supposed to be having empathy. We supposed to be feeling sorry for something. Man, I ain't saying go out there and act no fool and show your ass. I ain't saying do that. You know what I'm saying? But we don't have to do none of that, man. We not obligated to. We the only people in America that it's like they feel like they can tell us how to feel, how to hurt. When our leaders were being unalived like this, nobody cared. They got on the news and slandered our leaders, tried to say something negative about them. Look how they slandered Trayvon Martin. You know what I'm saying? Look how they slandered George Floyd. Your boy Kirk in particular. Well, he died from the fentanyl. So he was about to drop dead before the officer put his knee on his neck, huh? The devil the Bible speak of, man.
You don't fight capitalism with no Black capitalism. You fight capitalism with socialism. His heart and soul had always been focused on organizing the masses to take action against government injustice, even across racial divides. In 1969, Hampton forged a coalition with the Young Lords, a predominantly Latino minority group who had campaigned for self-determination of Puerto Ricans and colonized Third World people. Soon after, organizations such as the American Indian Movement, as well as the Young Patriots organization, joined in union with the Black Panthers in what became known as the Rainbow Coalition. Hampton, who...
Did Kirk do that? Is that what y'all boy Kirk was doing? Is that why we supposed to be mourning and crying and feeling bad about this man being unalived by another white supremacist? Is this what he was doing? Because this is what this young man was doing at 21 years old. He was uniting all the different ethnic groups and bringing them together to try to change the condition for all the groups. All parties had common interests, and like we can help each other get better schools, better housing. You understand? So yeah. This man was assassinated, this guy.
Sought to forge an anti-racist, multiracial alliance, was the poster child for all who had felt wronged and discarded by America. The FBI, seeing this unity as a threat to their power, began to follow Fred's every move and had tapped several of his phone lines. In an attempt to silence Fred and the Panthers, the FBI orchestrated his arrest in 1968, where Fred was arrested on trumped-up charges from a year earlier in 1967. What were those charges? Being accused of assaulting an ice cream truck driver and stealing $71 of ice cream. Seriously? In addition to falsely incriminating Hampton,
He stole ice cream. He beat up an ice cream truck driver and stole ice cream. Free breakfast program feeding thousands of kids. He stole ice cream. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
the FBI had begun to infiltrate the Black Panther Party with their own informants, including the one man who would ultimately be the demise of Fred Hampton, William.
Also a devil, man. Straight up and down. Nyoka. Serpiente. Dude right here, man, is a fucking dog and a fucking disgrace to his race on some real shit.
O'Neill. You see, What's interesting about William O'Neal was that despite being a black man present in Chicago during a time of great political change and revolution, O'Neal was apathetic towards it all. In his own words, "I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, and I had very little idea of the politics. I was apolitical. I knew nothing of the Black Panther Party. In fact, the day I joined, I was pretty sure it was just another gang." Well, as he quickly
This punk ass dude right here, man. This dude.
found out, the Panthers were much more than just any other gang. Popularized in the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, O'Neal's involvement in the downfall of the Panther Party has largely painted him as a villain in the eyes of history and within the Black.
So for real life Judas, dude. Real life, modern day Judas. Straight snake, man. Head of his security. He's the one who put the dope in his food where he couldn't wake up the night the police kicked the door in and started shooting the place up, man. This dude, man.
Black community. After having his role in the murder revealed in 1973, O'Neal entered witness protection from the FBI in order to safeguard him from those angry at his betrayal. Eventually, even he himself could not deal with the guilt. For the first and only time ever, O'Neal went on air in 1990 to speak about his role in the murder and betrayal of Fred Hampton. Take a look at the interview. The look on his face says it all.
He was a top man in the state of Illinois at that time.
What did you think about the Panthers at that time?
It was William who had provided the FBI with a detailed layout of the Black Panther apartment, and it was William who had drugged Fred that night so he would be incapacitated and unable to fight back. And so, when the Chicago Police Department had busted.
Look at their faces, man. Do they look like they're empathetic? Like they got sympathy? Like they mourning our brother? Is that how they look? Keep it 400. This snake, and that is crazy. Just like in the story of Judah, he threw himself in front of a car and committed suicide. This O'Neal cat. At least that's what they say happened to him. For all we know, some fucking CIA agents, some FBI agents took him and threw him out there. And hey, if they want, they can write that story up however they want. This is the government of the nation that has jurisdiction over us, man. We're not really citizens. We're captives, dude, on everything. We are yet this day in our captivity, and this is real talk, man. Look at their faces. Are they empathetic? Why they them big old grins on their face? They smiling because they feel bad about this brother being murdered next to his pregnant wife. I mean, this brother being unalive next to his pregnant wife. They shot Carly Kirk in front of his family. They killed this dude. They unalived this dude right next to his pregnant wife, yo. We supposed to, but everybody, no, why we have to? Everybody acting funny because black folks is not feeling bad? We supposed to? It kill me, dude. We the only people in America get treated like that. You know, Muhammad Ali, you gonna take back those unpatriotic remarks? We supposed to be patriotic? We supposed to love this country? Man, the caucasity, dog.
Down the door. They knew exactly where to go. Official reports of that night state that the Panthers had participated in a shootout with police officers, and that the murder of Fred Hampton wasn't premeditated, but detailed accounts from that night paint a different story. According to a ballistics report conducted in the days following the murder, police entering the apartment had fired over 99 shots, with only one shot of gunfire returned by the Panthers.
Which was proven to not even be a gunshot back. Now trip off of this. This next video is from 2021. Listen to this.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. As Black History Month begins today, we look back at the assassination of Black Panther leader Fred Hampton in Chicago 51 years ago, and how new documents reveal more details about the FBI's role in the murder of the 21-year-old revolutionary. Fred Hampton was killed December 4th, 1969, when Chicago police raided his apartment and shot and killed him in his own bed. Black Panther leader Mark Clark was also killed by police in that raid. Authorities initially claimed the Panthers had opened fire on the police who were there to serve a search warrant for weapons. Evidence later emerged
What's crazy about that, they open fire on y'all kicked in the door, y'all shoot like over 90 something rounds, but he still got shot dead. He still got shot in his bed, still laying in his bed. How were you in danger of him if he was laying in his bed? Devil means liar, ladies and gentlemen.
That told a very different story. The FBI, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, and Chicago police had conspired to assassinate Fred Hampton. Now, several hundred pages.
This is proven. This is what was done to one of our leaders, man. When y'all talking about Mr. Kirk, this is what was done. This government, who's supposed to protect him, all conspired together to delete a 21-year-old young man, man.
Pages of FBI memos and reports obtained by historian and writer Aaron Leonard through a Freedom of Information Act request document that the director of the FBI's Domestic Intelligence Division, William Sullivan, and the head of the extremist section of the Domestic Intelligence Division, George Moore, both played key roles in planning the raid and the cover-up that followed. For more on what these documents say, we're joined by Flint Taylor and Jeff Haas, founding members of the People's Law Office in Chicago, who are the lead lawyers in the landmark Fred Hampton and Mark Clark civil rights case. Their new piece for Truth Out is headlined, "New Documents Suggest J. Edgar Hoover Was Involved in Fred Hampton's Murder." Jeff Haas, let's begin with you. You wrote a book about Fred Hampton. Talk about what these new documents show and what you see as the smoking gun of J. Edgar Hoover's direct involvement.
Thank you, Amy. Well, first of all, it's 51 years after the incident.
51 years later. Man, boy, this is what black folks, like I said, we're accustomed to this. Y'all just getting a teaspoon of what we've been getting force-fed for over 400 years. Oh man, we have to feel sorry. We have to mourn, really.
And 40-some years after the trial, we had never gotten these documents before. But what they showed was that Hoover and Sullivan and Moore were following Roy Mitchell, a special agent in charge, very closely with regard to O'Neill. And they were complimenting him and rewarding him from the moment he gave the information and the floor plan to Special Agent Mitchell. They were congratulating Mitchell on what a wonderful job he did with this informant. Of course, Mitchell got the floor plan, gave it to Hanrahan's police, and that's what led to the raid. The floor plan even showed the bed where Hampton and Johnson would be sleeping. So we knew much of this. We knew O'Neill had gotten a bonus. We never knew Mitchell got a bonus. And we never knew that Hoover and Sullivan and Moore were starting to...
This fool got a bonus for helping to set up his brother. 30 pieces of silver. Couldn't live when they wanted to do an interview. And you live with it just fine, man. And you so-called unalived yourself in the end. Man, get the fuck out the hood with that weak shit.
Watched this in November, but 10 days before it happened. They were monitoring exactly what went on. And so it was approved at the highest level. And during the trial, we had sought to go up to...
See that? His murder was approved at the his unaliving was approved at the highest level. Now let's get off into Mr. Kirk.
And how you die does not redeem how you lived.
I was wondering which preacher would tell the truth about Charlie Kirk in their sermon yesterday.
Shouts out to Benjamin Dixon. He made this video. He'll put his link in the description. Y'all follow him. As well as the first story with the first documentary was from the Brother Black Stories. I'm gonna put his link in the description as well.
Here is one that you absolutely have to hear, and we'll discuss on the other side.
Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated. But I'm overwhelmed seeing the flags of the United States of America at half-staff calling this nation to honor and venerate a man who was an unapologetic racist and spent all of his life sowing seeds of division and hate into this land.
Big difference between him and our brother Fred Hampton, right? And the government conspired to unalive our brother. This here was white on white crime, just straight up and down. So far for what we see, but I believe it's more than meets the eye with that too. I believe somebody trying to kick off some real rebellious. I believe somebody trying to kick off some real race relation breakdowns, so it can be some real chaos in the streets, so they can implement some kind of martial law. That's why the military is being deployed in all these different major cities, which most of them are quote unquote so-called black major cities.
And hearing people with selective rage who are mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't give a damn about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were shot down in their home.
Real talk, they have selective outrage, selective empathy, selective compassion. They don't see nobody humanity but their own.
Tell me I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who had no respect for my own life. I am sorry, but there's nowhere in Bible where we are.
Nowhere is it in the scriptures. Nowhere. It does say never trust thy enemy. Was like iron and sugar rust, source of wickedness, but those books were taken out by the Protestants. Y'all walking around with a Bible with only 66 books in it when the Most High don't do nothing in the number 6. Y'all better wise up, man. Y'all ain't got no time. Really. Famine of the word ain't even really here yet, and y'all still don't know. For lack of knowledge, my people.
We're taught to honor evil. And how you die does not redeem how you lived. You do not become a hero in your death when you are a weapon of the enemy in your life.
That go for Pharaoh. That go for King Leopold. That go for the Brits. That go for their queen. You understand? That go for Medes and Persians, Assyrians. You understand? That go for wicked ass Gomorrah. You understand? We celebrate, man. We our high holy days, we celebrate the Most High destroying our enemies. The Passover, we're celebrating the destruction of our enemies. You understand? Most high holy days, we're celebrating the destruction of our enemies. The Most High showing up and destroying our enemies and delivering us from their hands. You understand? We'll be celebrating another Passover soon.
I can abhor the violence that took your life, but I don't have to celebrate how you chose to live. I am overwhelmed.
These are the facts, folks. We are not required to celebrate someone just because of how they died. Charlie Kirk was an unapologetic bigot. He made a fortune and his entire reputation off of being a bigot, but not just a regular bigot, a truly sophisticated one who was able to manipulate data and leave out context, remove nuance, just so that he can push a specific narrative about black people in particular.
Oh, my mama. Because most of his little data that he would try to quote was straight off. 75% of black children don't have their fathers in the home. According to y'all CDC, black fathers are the most active fathers in their children's life right now. Despite y'all, what y'all Oprahs used to say and all this other foolishness that y'all propaganda that y'all ran in these talk shows back in the 80s and 90s and shit about us. Turns out it ain't true. We spend the most time with our children. We the ones that cook for our children the most. We the ones known to, according to these numbers, we read to our kids the most. We're extremely dedicated fathers because we know what our sons and our daughters are going to have to deal with once they get off into this wicked ass world that's been set up by the United Snakes of Amnesia, and it's going to be really rough for them. So yeah, y'all, it's a lie. It's like his numbers, talking about the numbers with the gang shootings and all that. Think about that. He was mocking us about gang shootings right when he took the bullet. Shit. We have to feel sorry. We have to mourn. Do we have to? Gee, Mom, do we have to? On reckon.
Particular, but he didn't stop with black people. He did it to women. He did it to Muslims. He did it to the LGBTQI.
Give a fuck about that.
A community. Everything that he did, he used the same technique, which was to remove context, to remove nuance, to cherry pick data so that he can give an intellectual veneer for his racism and for his bigotry. And that's one of the greatest gifts that he could have possibly left to MAGA, that he could have left to white supremacy, to wrap all of centuries of hatred and bigotry in the veneer of intellectualism. Charlie Kirk was a smart dude, but he was a smart bigot. And this is the role that he facilitated better than anyone else. And this is why he was so popular. I absolutely loved the line that this pastor spoke. And by the way, I'm not sharing the pastor's name or the name of his church because I'm quite sure that he is receiving death threats already. But I really...
Real talk. It's like the HBCUs. And all these black folks losing their jobs and whatever. Like I said, I don't support nobody getting out there just acting an ass and acting a fool, going to some candlelight visual for this man and being disrespectful. I'm not saying that. I don't support nothing that is ignorant. But what I am saying is we can't be looked at as nothing, as in any kind of negative light if we're not mourning and crying over this cat. Nobody can feel that way. Y'all can't force us, just like y'all look. Y'all try to. We don't have people in America that it get dictated to how to feel, how to mourn, how long to mourn, whom to mourn for. Just us, you know what I'm saying? And it's like white America. It's like offended when we don't see things their way. Look, I know we've been indoctrinated. I know y'all did everything to us, turned us inside out, upside down, stripped us of all that we originally were before when we first got here. Understood. But that don't mean nothing. That don't mean we still gotta, that don't mean we gotta be robot. I know a lot of us are. That's Tom Daniels, Tony Sotomayor, Officer Tatum, Landis Owens, all of them look, those are those house Negroes. Those are snowballing them off Django. You understand? The one that'll dive over Massa and take the bullet for him and all that. All of us say no. Don't think for 1 second we all like that. No, we don't. We don't agree. We not with you. He's wrong. He was wrong. He was wicked for the things he said, and the Most High judged him. Period in the story in front of the whole world.
Appreciate what this pastor said. We do not celebrate evil. We do not celebrate bigotry. No matter how an individual dies, it does not absolve them from the evil of their life. I'm certain Charlie Kirk was a good father. I'm certain Charlie Kirk was a good husband, but I'm also certain that Charlie Kirk was not a good man because he was executing a very evil agenda. We have to hold the line here. We have to simultaneously be able to recognize that, number one, Charlie Kirk should not have been killed. Number two, we must condemn violence because we cannot perform violence like they can. They are the masters of violence, and that is not a
Esau's blessing is the sword.
Game that we want to get into. This is not a statement of fear. Nobody's afraid. Everybody's got guns. Everybody has bravado, but we're dealing with people who have mastered the art of violence, the science of violence, and they lust after it. They crave it, and violence begets violence. Now, don't get me wrong. As a matter of self-defense, I believe every single American, especially Black Americans, should be prepared to defend themselves with their Second Amendment rights. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the type of violence that killed Charlie Kirk. We do not engage in that type of violence. And to everyone who's celebrating, I'm not going to lecture you in terms of morality, but I will say something in terms of strategy. Never give the moral high ground to people who are already seeking to hurt you. What
he means to say is people that already act like animals. Real talk. We're not supposed to take joy in the destruction of the wicked. I mean, that's between them and God. You understand? He said he gonna take vengeance on his enemies by the hand of his people. That is what he said. But until he does that, hey man, we supposed to be patiently and faithfully waiting for he who led into captivity to go into captivity, for he who killed with the sword to be alive with the sword. This is the patience and the faith of the saints, right? We supposed to be kicking back and waiting on our master. Oh, I want to be in that number.
To destroy you. You give them the veneer and the justification to say, look, I told you those people were bad over here. Look, I told you those black people were no good. Look, I told you those leftists were no good. As a matter of morality, for me in my house, we would not ever celebrate the assassination of anyone. But I'm not lecturing anybody about that. If that's what you do, that's between you and your set of values. But as far as strategy goes, celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk puts ammunition into the hands of people who already wanted to harm us. I'll say it just like I saw someone else say it online. I don't celebrate Charlie Kirk's death, but I will not participate in his mourning.
And how you...
Did you hear that? I don't celebrate his death, but I will not participate in his mourning. I'm not getting down with their selective compassion, their selective empathy. He didn't show that for George Floyd. They didn't show that for Philando Castile. They didn't show that for Breonna. They didn't show that for the other sister that the officer shot her through the window while she was playing video games with her nephew. You understand? So, nah, man, can't do it. Can't get down like that. Nothing personal, but that's just what it is. Get mad if you want. I won't front. Time to hunt. Won't be no pump. Hey, man, that's tonight's show. Like I said, we just asking why. Why do we have to? Why ask why? Thanks for joining your boy Bam Bam Belly on. One more time, one of Watt's favorite sons. Love all of y'all to death. Love y'all to life. Because we live in the dying, we die to live again. 360 degrees, comprehend. Whether it be here in the kingdom, we're going to see each other again. Hey, you're going to see old Charlie Kirk too. We're going to see him again too. Yeah, y'all better read that book. God got plans for him. Hey, man. Love y'all to death, love y'all to life, man. But all praises to the Most High God for the air in your lungs, man. Shalom Barakatah. Wada Abba Yahweh. Until next time, y'all, man. Stay peaceful, man. Love y'all, man. Shalom.